Yo! How you doing? It's a Monday morning. We are into a new week. Monday, March 11th. Our morning wake-up brought to us by Home Plate Sports Cards in Oskaloosa at 1516 A Avenue East, Oskaloosa. Call 641-676-1516. Hours are Wednesday through Friday, 5:30 to 8:30 p.m., Saturday noon to 6, Sunday noon to 4. No place like Home Plate Sports Cards in Oskaloosa. In fact, I actually stopped in there. My wife and I stopped in on Friday evening to check in and say hi to Eddie Pearson and some of his friends that were hanging out on Friday evening at Home Plate Sports Cards in Oskaloosa. Cool place if you like sports cards and other memorabilia like that. Make sure you go see Eddie at Home Plate Sports Cards, 1516 A Avenue East, Oskaloosa, sponsoring our morning wake-up. Our forecast is up next. It's brought to us by the Garden Gate, located at 105 South Jefferson in Sigourney. Call 641-622-3191. You can stop in and see Cindy and the gang at Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, Saturdays, 9 to noon. Now, I've got to update my graphic there because they had their Goodbye to Winter open house over the weekend. So things are back to normal now into pretty much the spring season. When is it officially spring? I don't know what the date. March 20th, I think, if I'm looking at the calendar right. So Garden Gate ready for spring, and you can stop in and see them. Sunshine for today. Look at that, a high of 72 degrees. Breezy southwest winds gusting up to 30 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly clear, a low of 46, still rather breezy. Tomorrow, partly sunny, 71. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, a low of 44. And partly sunny on Wednesday with a high of 72. Now, right now, current conditions here in southeast Iowa. Let's see here. We do have humidity at 65%. Wind speed south at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. The barometer at 30.03 and 38 degrees currently in southeast Iowa. Now, there is a special weather statement from the National Weather Service. Waiting for the website to give that to me, as there is very high cropland fire danger today. So, gusty southwest winds through this afternoon. Those winds, along with low humidity and warm temperatures, will lead to a very high cropland fire danger today. Any fires that develop will spread quickly. Now, you're asked to avoid brush or grass burning today. Use extra caution with farm and outdoor equipment, and do not carelessly discard cigarettes. Again, that is from the National Weather Service. A very high cropland fire danger today. The weather conditions favorable, where if a fire starts outside, things could get out of control pretty quick. So just be advised of that. Our weather brought to us by the Garden Gate. Hey, coming up at noon today, we'll put out our question of the day. Always brought to us by Amy's Salon House and Spa, located at 202 North Main in Sigourney. Call or text for an appointment at 641-622-3772. Question of the day, which will go out at noon, is when you were little, what food did you refuse to eat? That'll be our question of the day. Now, I remember, and my mom would tell you this story too, when I was little, she tried to make me eat green beans at the dinner table one night and said I had to sit at the table until I ate a green bean. Well, I sat at the table the entire evening and went to bed without eating that green bean. So green beans would have been at the top of my list as a kid. I refused to eat green beans, and still, I've tried green beans as an adult, but no, it's just not for me. I don't like the green beans. So what food did you refuse to eat when you were little? That'll be our question of the day. Of course, earlier this morning, we always put up our This or That about 6 a.m. weekdays. It's brought to us by Stacy Flynn at the Legacy Insurance Group and Welcome Realty. Your This or That for today is hardwood or carpet. Which do you prefer? You can scroll back through my Facebook feed just till 6 a.m. about an hour ago. This went up, and you can comment and say this or that, hardwood or carpet. That is your this or that for today. One thing we got to last night, we put up our new weekly top 20 as far as most engaged followers right here on Steve Shuttler Media Facebook for the past week. And our new number one most engaged fan is Mr. Bruce Beinart. Bruce, congratulations to you, number one fan. Now, he just gets by Lacey Render, Alan and Bruce hanging there at the 3 and 4 spots. Kathy Rosaboom, a former number one, at the number 5 spot. Then you got Dodie, Dan, Curtis, Dave, Brent. Where's my wife in this list? Stacy Shuttler has fallen all the way down to number 19. Wow. She needs to hit the like button a little bit more. So there's your top 20 that you can see. Bruce, number one. He is my number one fan this week. So congratulations to Bruce. I know it's in actuality, in reality, it's not a big deal. But Bruce liked rubbing it in to Bruce and Alan, Bruce Hahn and Alan Sellers, that he was the number one. So congratulations to Bruce Beinart, our number one most engaged fan here on Steve Shuttler Media. A couple other things we got to tell you about. Started this up last evening, and the title says it all. It's For the Fun of It tournament. And we're going to be doing, maybe we'll do one of these maybe once a month. For the Fun of It. And our tournament that's going on in March is 90s Country Male Superstar. Who is going to come out on top of this tournament? Our current matchup has Garth Brooks against Clint Black. And you can, again, scroll back through my Facebook feed and hit the thumbs up or hit the heart to vote. Thumbs up is for Garth, heart is for Clint. Garth Brooks is leading. It's 24-hour voting on these matchups. We're going to do one matchup per 24 hours. So Garth Brooks against Clint Black is your current matchup. You can see the other guys. This was tough. I did some research on Google to come up with who the 16 male superstar country artists from the 90s were going to be in this tournament. And yeah, you had to leave out some pretty decent names. I'm just thinking right now, Tracy Lawrence. I didn't get Tracy Lawrence in this tournament. Wow. Aaron Tippin didn't make this tournament. And I'm sure there's plenty of others that people would complain about as well that didn't get in this tournament. But this is a stacked tournament. You got Garth Brooks, Clint Black, Vince Gill, John Michael Montgomery, Toby Keith, Billy Ray Cyrus, Sammy Kershaw, Tim McGraw, George Strait, Dwight Yoakam, Kenny Chesney. You see the list. Randy Travis, Joe Diffie, Travis Tritt, Colin Ray, Alan Jackson, all big names from the 1990s. Yeah, you just have to stop it somewhere. So, yeah, my apologies to any of the guys that didn't make the list, but still, it's a loaded tournament. So, we'll see. I kind of positioned this where the top seeds would be Garth, George Strait, Tim McGraw, and Alan Jackson. Will they live up to those expectations? Will that end up being our final four for this particular For the Fun of It tournament? We'll see. It would be fun to have Garth versus George Strait in the finals. But we'll see what happens. Again, Garth and Clint, our current matchup in that tournament. Which, by the way, we could use a sponsor. Somebody's logo could be on this tournament. So if there's a business out there, I will cut you a deal to make you the official sponsor of this tournament. So, get a hold of me. Let me know. We'll throw your logo on there. Let's see here. Coming up later on this week here on Steve Shuttler Media, there you see Miss Brittany Sword. Brittany will be bringing her music to Barn Wired in Sigourney coming up on Friday, 11:30 to noon. Brittany, a singer-songwriter from Oskaloosa. And, I've talked to Brittany. I've known Brittany for a few years now. She came in and did several radio interviews with me over the years. Now Brittany Sword, live and in person at Barnwired in Sigourney this Friday, 11:30 to noon, live interview, live original tunes from Brittany Sword on Friday. What else we got to get to here? Trying to make sure I don't miss anything. Of course, later on Saturday, we'll have the sports section live from Brothers Market. That's always fun. We had Jenny Hobbs making her debut as host this past Saturday. Talked to the Sigourney Keota bowling teams, so that was a lot of fun. Make sure you tune in on Saturday from Brothers Market. Speaking of which, Rick going to be grilling, going to be pulling out the grill today. So make sure you stop into Brothers Market in Sigourney, as you can take advantage of those deals with tenderloin, Brothers Burger, ribeye sandwich, hot dog. You can add chips and a drink for $1. So Rick will be grilling at Brothers Market in Sigourney. Another thing going on here in Sigourney this evening is Sigourney's 4th of July planning meeting. That is today at 6 p.m. at Sigourney City Hall. So if you want to be part of the discussion for the activities for the 4th of July in Sigourney, that's tonight at 6 p.m. at Sigourney Hall. So get in on that. All right, let's go ahead and get into the morning wake-up. Again, it's brought to us by Home Plate Sports Cards in Oskaloosa. And we're doing it live from Oski Dental Studios here on Steve Shuttler Media. Let's do some good mornings. Good morning to Dan, Marcia, Tracy. By the way, Tracy, I got my Waterhouse Construction sweatshirt on this morning. Good morning to Renee, Cindy, Nancy, Bubby, Jason. Yeah, I know, Jason, that George Strait, Dwight Yoakam. There are some tough matchups in that tournament. Kurt and Kathy, Tamra, good morning to everybody. Hope you're off to a good start on this Monday. Let's do some birthdays. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. And yeah. All right, birthdays for today. Newspaper publisher, super rich guy, Rupert Murdoch. He is the oldest guy on the list today. He is 93 years old, Rupert Murdoch of the Fox Network. And yeah, he's swimming. He does the backstroke in his money. He's just got buildings of money that he swims through. Rupert Murdoch, 93 today. Broadcast journalist Sam Donaldson, 90 years old. From country music, Flaco Jimenez from the Texas Tornadoes, turning 85. He plays the squeeze box. Singer-songwriter Bobby McFerrin, don't worry, be happy. 74 years old for Bobby McFerrin. Let's see here, movie director, producer Jerry Zucker from Airplane, Naked Gun, turning 74. Country singer Jimmy Fortune from the Statler Brothers has his own solo career, 69 years old. We've got singer, TV host Lisa Loeb, is 56. She had that one song, was it Stay? Back in the 90s. Lisa Loeb, 56. Actor host Johnny Knoxville turns 53. And basketball player Anthony Davis having his 31st birthday for today. On this date in history, it was on this date back in 1892, basketball was played in public for the very first time. So I don't know who was around to make note of that, but somebody was. Basketball, first time in public, 1892. It was on this date in 1993, Janet Reno was confirmed as the country's first female attorney general, 1993. Today, according to the National Day calendar, is it 311 Day or 311? Is that the phone number you call for like information? 311? Or are we talking about the rock band? 311? I don't know. We'll leave that up and open to interpretation. It's National Funeral Director and Mortician Recognition Day. So we recognize you morticians and funeral directors. It's National Promposal Day. This is where everybody gets creative and like makes the little signs and does the weird things to ask a girl to prom. Or you could just be like, hey, you want to go to prom with me? Okay. It's also National Oatmeal Nut Waffles Day. Ew. That's like the worst combination for a waffle I've ever heard. Oatmeal and nut. Barforama. It's National Worship of Tools Day. Okay. It's National Johnny Appleseed Day. Ooh. National Napping Day. Yes. I want to fully admit something. I am not naturally a morning person. And especially after springing ahead like we did Saturday night into Sunday morning. This morning, I am really dragging. Because it feels, it's 7:17. But in reality, your body still feels like it's 6:17. And when I woke up at 5:30 this morning, it felt more like it was 4:30. And it still feels like it's 4:30 in the morning. I am definitely going to take a long nap when I get done here this morning. Let's see here. Things you need to know. We got to play our little music. There, this will make me feel better. Yeah. Woo. Things you need to know. Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, just had her fourth child, a baby girl. Her fourth daughter, posted on social media, and she said that the pregnancy was not easy. So I'm glad to hear that baby number 4 has arrived for Gal Gadot. Other things you need to know, Jo-Ann Fabrics considering a bankruptcy filing as soon as this week as part of a deal that would hand control of the company to lenders while allowing it to shed expensive debt. So Jo-Ann Fabrics. Caitlin Clark, right here in Iowa, had a big weekend. She made history by scoring more three-point shots in her college career than Steph Curry. So congratulations to Caitlin Clark, another record for her. And, of course, the Iowa women winning the Big Ten tournament yesterday in overtime. Exciting fashion. So congratulations to Caitlin and the Iowa Hawkeyes. Other stuff you need to know, President Joe Biden's State of the Union address drew about 27.7 million viewers across 9 networks. That was a boost in total audience from last year. We told you that Rupert Murdoch's birthday is today. He's celebrating by getting engaged. Again, he's 93 as of today. Wife number 5 for Rupert will be his current girlfriend, Elena Zukova. She's 67, is a retired molecular biologist who he started dating over the summer, and now they're getting married. Rupert, you dog. Other things you need to know, Travis Kelce flew over to be with the T-Swizz, Taylor Swift, for Taylor's final 2 shows in Asia. Harrison Ford says that during his latest colonoscopy, those are fun, the crew in the operating room couldn't resist playing the Indiana Jones theme song during the procedure. Funny stuff. Let's see here. According to a new study, half of women feel like the only time that they get me time is when they're alone in the shower. So sometimes you just have to retreat to the shower to get some me time. Other things you need to know. A chance discovery made in southern France has revealed a rare specimen, an almost complete dinosaur skeleton found connected from its butt to its skull. Tail to skull. So that's quite the find there in France. Did you know that there is a bill making its way through Congress that would ban TikTok? Just so you know. Sounds, if they brought back, what were we talking about here not too terribly long ago? Those cartoons where they talk about the bill that are really old back in the day. That sounds like something that would be on that with the TikTok bill. Doobie Brothers Going to be releasing their 16th studio album, this one with Michael McDonald back in the fold, so look for that. Looks like Natalie Portman and her estranged husband quietly separated last year and have already finalized their divorce. Here's some trivia. Paul Giamatti, great, fantastic actor, Paul Giamatti. Did you know that his dad was Bart Giamatti, who was once the commissioner of Major League Baseball and was actually the guy that banned Pete Rose from baseball? So, did you know? Now you know. Go to Florida. A Florida woman facing burglary and battery charges after she broke into her ex-boyfriend's home and threw Sprite and pickled pork juice at him while he sat on a couch. Burglary and battery for throwing Sprite and pickled pork juice. Okay. Other stuff you need to know, George Santos, who, was expelled from Congress last year and is facing federal charges right now, has announced that he's running for Congress again. Gotta love modern day politics. Let's see, here's some mixed messages coming on Friday. The U.S. added 275,000 jobs on Friday. However, unemployment was also up to 3.9%. So more jobs, but more unemployed people. Here's something you might want to know. According to the website MakeMyMove.com, there are quite a few states that are actually offering up to $15,000 if you move to their state and relocate your career. So if you're really desperate for money and you want to make $15,000, might want to look into that. Finally today, things you need to know. You remember the wild card NFL football game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Miami Dolphins, where the temps at Arrowhead Stadium dipped to minus 4 degrees below, wind chill of about 27 below? Apparently, several fans at the game came down with severe frostbite that could require amputations. So it was dangerously cold at that game, and now some of the fans are going to be paying for that. Let's go to today's Impossible question. Today's impossible question: what is the most dangerous job in America? What do you think? Is it doing videos on social media? No, this is not a particularly dangerous job, folks. The most dangerous job in America is logging. Logging workers with a fatality injury rate at 82 per 100,000 full-time workers. So if you're into logging, and that is your profession, working with logs and trees, that is the most dangerous job in America. Let's do some weird.
That is weird.
In some weird today, a 265-pound tire fell from an airplane moments after it took off from San Francisco on Thursday. Footage shows the tire dropping from a Boeing jet as the rear landing gear was retracting. The quote is, towards the end of the runway, it was still bouncing 100 and some feet in the air. A voice says on an air traffic control recording. Now, thankfully, no one was hurt, unless you count some cars, as the tire made its way to an on-site employee parking lot where it smashed up at least a couple of vehicles. So, again, a tire falling from an airplane taking off from San Francisco. How about this? A man who was wrongly released from jail in Sydney, Australia, called police to let them know where he was after hearing about the search for him on the news. So again, this prisoner was accidentally let go, and then police were in search of him, and he was kind enough to call and say where he was. His name, Corey Hastings, 30 years old, left the correctional facility in Australia. He was last seen at a shopping center about 2 hours later. ABC understands the man rang police. He rang them in Australia. "Hello, mate. I'm over here if you want to come get me." He may not be charged as the release was an administrative mistake. Well, yeah, he shouldn't be charged. It wasn't his fault. If you're a prisoner and they say you can go, you're going to go. Let's go to an escaped pig. A Wisconsin family found an escaped pig wandering in their driveway, ended up making a 450-pound friend. A guy says he was at home with his family when his wife checked the driveway camera and saw a pig wandering on their property. The family spoke with neighbors, and again, this is in Wisconsin, eventually discovering the 450-pound pig named Kevin Bacon, by the way. I don't know if he's doing any footloose dancing moves, but Kevin Bacon had escaped from his home about a mile away. Let's see here. They used treats, including Oreos, to keep him from moving away, and he was eventually captured and taken back home. So Kevin Bacon, the 450-pound Wisconsin pig, is safe at home. Maybe they made him into bacon by now. I don't know. Let's see here. Let's go to the files of law and disorder. In some disorder, 2 Ohio women are facing felony charges after police said they propped up a dead man so that they could withdraw hundreds of dollars from his accounts. And then they dropped off his dead body at a local hospital. Sounds like the classic movie Weekend at Bernie's. Police said the women found the man dead inside the home on Monday, but instead of calling police or an ambulance, they had other plans. The 2 are alleged to have taken the guy's body out of the home, propping him up in the front seat of the car, and then driving through a bank to withdraw around $900. Taking a corpse around to get his money. Let's go to some good news, which is always brought to us by Dr. Stacy Freeze at Lifetime Dental Solutions.
Good news.
Good news.
Good news.
Where the good news is the bad news, don't get the final say.
And in some good news this morning, again brought to us by Dr. Stacy Freeze at Lifetime Dental Solutions in Sigourney. Call 641-622-2669, accepting new patients. And in some good news this morning, let's see here. An anonymous donor has given Yellowstone National Park $40 million. But it's not to preserve nature or wildlife, it's to build housing that park staff can afford to live in. As more than 3,000 people work in the park during peak tourist season, and for years now, finding enough housing for them has been a problem. But not anymore, because, again, a donor donating $40 million to put in some employee housing at Yellowstone National Park. That is quite the nice thing. Let's go to some duh.
Duh.
In some duh this morning, a bill that could lead to a TikTok ban in the U.S. passed a House committee on a 50-0 bipartisan vote Thursday, and it may have had some help from TikTok. So it's, again, this is a bill that's going to try to ban TikTok, and it got help from TikTok. Notifications on the app urged users to contact lawmakers about the bill and made it easy for them to directly call their representative's office, leading to a flood of calls as the House Energy and Commerce Committee prepared to debate the legislation. Now, lawmakers said they didn't like how the Chinese-owned app was manipulating users. The bill, which could soon come up for a vote in the full House, requires Beijing-based ByteDance to divest TikTok and other apps it owns within 180 days or face a ban in the U.S. It also creates a process to allow the president to ban foreign-owned apps that are deemed a threat to national security. So we'll see what happens there with TikTok, and we'll see what the future of apps from out of the country end up doing. And let's wrap up today going to the movies, top box office money-making movies from over the weekend. The number one money maker was the new Kung Fu Panda movie. This is the fourth movie in that series. It brought in $58.3 million. I don't know if that was good or bad. But you get to the fourth movie in a series, and yeah, people are going to start to lose interest a little bit. Kung Fu Panda 4, your top movie over the weekend, $58.3 million. Number 2 was Dune Part 2 with $46 million. The movie Imaginary is your number 3 movie with $10 million. After that, you have Cabrini at $7.5 million, and the Bob Marley movie at $4 million. Everything else has $2 million or less. Ordinary Angels, Madam Web, Migration, YOLO, and Wonka. Your top 10 money-making movies from the box office. All right, I think that does it for today. Once again, your forecast, which is brought to us by the Garden Gate in Sigourney, has sunshine today, breezy, and a high of 72. And again, just a statement, a warning from the National Weather Service for very high cropland fire danger today. The conditions and the winds and everything, if there's a fire outside, it could get out of control pretty quickly. So you're advised not to do any brush or grass burning today, or just be careful around your equipment not to start a fire. And be careful, if you're a smoker, don't just carelessly flick your cigarette into, some dry grass or dry brush that could start on fire. As again, things could get out of control today with the weather conditions. So just that advisement from the National Weather Service. Okay, coming up later on today, we're going to have our In Remembrance of video going up at 8 o'clock this morning. We'll have Kevin Hempel, an encouraging word from Kevin Hempel at 5 o'clock. We'll get to successful farming. We'll have Real Talk with Aaron and myself at 6:30. And then pro wrestling. We'll have the Card Subject to Change wrestling podcast coming up at 7 o'clock this evening. Of course, all the other fun. We'll have our question of the day. We'll post some weird news later on today. So that about does it for your morning wake up, brought to us by Home Plate Sports Cards in Oskaloosa. And we're live from the Oski Dental Studios. Okay, you guys have a great Monday. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.